Love it or hate it, this is a popular trailer. It almost started its own genre of teary-eyed pop songs over big action scenes. If you're going to critically assess this trailer, you have to establish the difference between production value and tone. If you're really into the tone of Gears of War mixed with Gary Jules' version of Mad World, then that's your prerogative. But if you're going to grade trailers, then you have to consider the amount of production effort that went into creating it. If you put more effort into a trailer, chances are more people are going to be affected by it. As far as production values go, I don't think this is a good trailer for many reasons. First and foremost, don't just steal music. Some trailers write their own music, and some don't. There's nothing wrong with using a track that's already been written, as long as it matches the themes in the game and makes sense when paired with the subject matter. But when you grab X popular song and attach it to Y popular game, it feels lazy, uninspired. Trailers can and should be better than that. If you're unsure if your favorite pop-inspired trailer is bad or not, ask yourself the following questions.
I'd sit alone and watch your light, my only friend through teenage nights.
Question 1. Was the song included in the final game? Franchises like Grand Theft Auto pride themselves on their soundtracks. GTA trailers can be so enticing because you know the song being heard will appear on one of the game's radio stations. Music is as much a part of Grand Theft Auto's identity as the made-up brand names or automobile references. This means more thought was involved in selecting the appropriate music. Better thinking leads to better trailers.
Trees can't grow without the sun in their eyes.
Question 2. Can the song exist in the world in which the game takes place? This may be less bothersome for most people, but it can potentially trivialize your game's image. If you're making a fantasy or sci-fi game and lean on a popular rock single to create your game's mood via one of its trailers, it appears as if the mood that will be supplied in the final game isn't good enough to get an audience excited. Why steal someone else's creative work when your game already has its own distinct sound? Every time you look at one world, but hear instruments that could only exist in another, it seems like the original world was too boring to sell in the first place.
Here, this make you all nostalgic?
You know, that is actually before my time. That is a winner, though.
I don't want to set the world on fire.
Question 3. Has the song been altered in any way to fit the game's tempo? Did they just slap the song on the trailer and call it a day? Are there any sound effects? Audio design is half the battle when it comes to editing. When you rely 100% on a song to carry the trailer's audible stimuli, it better fit that game like an old pair of jeans, or it seems like you just wanted to do half the work. You may hear a trailer that's sticking to the emotional integrity of the song, but I hear an editor punching out early.
It's been a hard day's night, and I've been working like a dog. It's been a hard...
Question 4. Is the trailer for a music, sports, or racing game? If so, then it automatically gets a pass. These types of games seem to be exclusively fueled by the latest Billboard music charts, and it makes sense why. It's hard to make a trailer for the Beatles rock band without Beatles music. Sports arenas are constantly pumping out the latest chart toppers before, during, and after the game. And what's the point of driving a fast car if you're not going to listen to Van Halen?
Pull up your skirt and strap that dildo on. Yeah!
Question 5. Is the game funny, or is the trailer song pairing comical? If you don't want us to take your game too seriously, then we won't get too emotionally invested in your trailers. Some games are shameless action fiestas with cartoony characters, and that's great. If the answer to question 5 is yes, you can ignore the first 4 questions. The initial impulse you feel when a new game and popular song are stuck together is to smile, because the two are not originally meant to be together, and you're left to wonder why it was chosen. Asking people to ponder this while they're trying to stay emotionally hooked to dramatic subject matter is pushing it. When it comes to the Mad World trailer for Gears of War, the answer to all of these questions is no. The Gary Jules song was not featured anywhere in the final game. Gears of War takes place on the fictional planet of Serra, so Mad World could not exist in Marcus's world. In fact, popular music is seldom mentioned in all 4 released Gears games, aside from radio chatter.
Man, turn that shit off.
Mad World has only been slightly altered in the edit, mostly to meet the video's total running time of 60 seconds. There are only 3 audio cuts in the trailer. The first is at 5 seconds, where we jump to the first verse at 11 seconds. The second is at 22 seconds, when we skip to 44 seconds to cut out 2 lines of lyrics. The third occurs 1 minute and 22 seconds into the song, where we fast forward to the ending at 2 minutes 51 seconds. All we're working with here is piano and vocals. These are some of the easiest music cuts in the world to make. Gears of War is not a music, sports, or racing game, and with the post-apocalyptic setting, Marcus's ties to his father, and Dom's longing for his potentially dead wife, I'm assuming we're supposed to take the story seriously. The most obvious critique of this trailer is that the somber tone of Mad World conflicts with the loud, savage bloodletting that makes up most of Gears of War. So, why use this song? Mad World was written by Roland Orzabal and first sung by bassist Kurt Smith, a pair otherwise known as Tears for Fears. It was released in 1982 and appeared on their first album, The Hurting, in 1983. It reached number 3 on the UK singles chart. Over 40 artists have covered the song since then, but the most well-known update was created by composer Michael Andrews and singer-songwriter Gary Jules in 2001, 5 years before the Gears of War trailer. The cover was recorded for the film Donnie Darko, starring Prince of Persia's Jake Gyllenhaal, and directed by the eccentric Richard Kelly. Gary Jules released the track as a single in 2003, and it reached the top of the UK sales charts by Christmas. By the time Gears of War was being advertised in 2006, Mad World had already enjoyed a 14-year lifespan of artistic relevance. Simply taking the song in its current state, especially when it was already conceived that way for a completely different project and medium, is not inspiring work, bordering on parody.
Will we have air support? You are the support, son!
Kurt Smith called Mad World a voyeur song, suggesting it comes from the perspective of someone who views his environment but does nothing to affect it. Smith suggested the song was about a frustrating adolescence, and the lyrics came from the mind of a confused teenager. A few songs on the same album reference the work of Arthur Janov, an American psychologist who specializes in repressed childhood trauma. Given that Gears of War primarily stars linebacker-sized soldiers, you can start to see where the inconsistencies arise.
Shit.
Roland Orzabal was quoted as saying Mad World throws together a lot of different images to paint a picture without saying anything specific about the world. I think this is evidence of why it feels so perfect with Gears. It could work with almost anything. Here are other games, also released in 2006, that could have easily used Mad World as well. Gears of War is not the best game that can be paired with this song. It was just the first.
All around me are familiar faces, worn out places, worn out faces. Hide my head, I wanna drown my sorrow. No tomorrow, no tomorrow. And I find it kind of funny, I find it kind of sad. The dreams in which I'm dying are the best I've ever had. I find it hard to tell you, I find it hard to take. When people run in circles, it's a very, very mad world. Mad world.
Even without the song, the trailer is kind of misleading. It's unclear where Marcus Phoenix is, why he stops to notice a chunk of broken statue, and where his squad mates have run off to. From the opening shot to the credits of the first Gears, Marcus is almost always flanked by other soldiers, and one of the game's most celebrated features is its online or split-screen co-op. The trailer doesn't need to cover events explicitly from the game, but it also doesn't need to take itself so seriously. It's tough to emotionally reflect on a scene with Marines, aliens, and no narrative bearing cued to a song about frustrated teenagers composed for a 5-year-old film. The equivalent trailers for Gears of War 2 and 3 changed their content to more accurately reflect the events in the final games. The somber piano track from Mad World returned to Sarah in Gears of War 3, where it underscored moments from the game's end and played when certain conditions were unlocked in multiplayer. The individual parts of this trailer are impressive. The visual style of the shots are similar to the finished product, and the oppressive shadows create a powerful, ominous mood. The Corpser's emergence from the darkness both teases the monster's appearance in the final game and mirrors the Locust's irreversible blight upon the surface of Sarah. We're left with Marcus facing impossible odds, which speaks to the desolation of Delta Squad and their uphill struggle against the Locust. The song, Mad World, is a current of fractured feelings with both otherworldly vibrations and simple, universal themes. The question is this: which one wins out? Does Gears of War make you think of Mad World, or vice versa? If you look at that trailer and say, hey, that's a really well-made trailer, basically what you're saying is that other trailers should use it as a template. And I think this is a really basic, boring template to use. If popular opinion dictates that this trailer is amazing and I'm totally wrong, I'm okay with that, just as long as people understand the amount of effort that went into, or rather, didn't go into its creation. If this is your favorite trailer, I'm not here to judge, I just want to make sure you're informed. If you want to watch any other trailers with popular songs in them, there are hundreds to choose from, but the best include the E3 2007 debut of Fallout 3, the E3 2011 Assassin's Creed Revelations trailer, the creepy Lullaby trailer for Dead Space, and the gameplay debut for Dishonored. Do not miss all of our exclusive Xbox coverage this month, including the event on May 21st. And if you think this trailer's great and I'm stupid, let me know on Twitter at GameTrailersVO. See you next time.